Outfit X, एक private terror group. They're planning a massive attack. और उनका target है India.
Season 2, what a twist.
So are you in or are you out?
I don't believe in capital punishment, but for talking in the cinema.
Jai Hind. I am the most complete fighter in the world.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Stick around. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Dodge this.
They said it would never happen, and yet here we go. We've made it. It's season 2. How is it different? We'll find out. Welcome back, hopefully, or generally to Dodge This Action Movies Unleashed. It's season 2, episode 1, and we are starting with a big boy, literally and figuratively. The Indian mass entertainer Pathaan. It's taken over the world and India right now, and it feels like the absolute perfect movie to kick off season 2 with. Joining me, as ever, from across the tiny bit of water twixt where I am sitting, which is Amsterdam, and where he is sitting, which is South London, it's my good friend, Matthew Highton.
Hello, and hello.
That's his classic catchphrase that he uses at the beginning of every episode. New listeners.
Yeah.
It's very exciting to be back, Matthew. We had a little break there, which some people would describe as Christmas, New Year, and most importantly, Simon's birthday. Did you get up to anything fun?
For Christmas and New Year?
And Simon's birthday.
And Simon's birthday. Not for Simon's birthday.
Rude.
Because you have one of those really fun birthdays that falls right in the no-go zone of... Yeah, but no, I had a lovely time. Very chill. Nothing to report, mate.
Great to hear. Absolutely great to hear. It was quite delightful, thank you. Yes, I was in the Netherlands there for Christmas. It's been, much like this movie, quite the jet-setting month plus for old Symes. I was in the Netherlands. I went to Budapest for New Year's, which was very nice. Then I went to bloody India for 2 weeks, which I'm sure I will mention an almost annoying amount during this particular episode of the podcast, because now, obviously, like someone who's just done a gap year, I know everything about the place.
Right. I look forward to it.
And I'm not going to say anything ignorant or offensive based on my 2 weeks there. And then came back here, and then... Spoiler alert, Matt knows this, but the listeners don't. I was in London last week. And guess what happened when I was in London? Matthew?
You went to Big Ben?
Close.
You decided to join the stock trade boys, and now you're a city guy working atop a tower?
Really close, actually. I visited one of London's other major tourist attractions and landmarks, Matthew Highton.
The View Cinema.
The View Cinema in West Hampstead/Finchley Road. Yes.
Yeah.
It's very exciting because we went to see this together in real life, and that will become so much clearer later on in the podcast. Before we do that, though, have we seen things in the interim, in the, let's call it the Christmas holidays, if you will? I finally finished Andor. You will be delighted to hear. Oh, God. Sorry. He's blown my ears out with his reaction.
Sorry about that. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I thought it was great, actually. I'm a fan of Star Wars to some degree, but not a super fan. But this was Star Wars for adults, innit? I think that's how you would sum it up. It's like the HBO Star Wars.
It's like Succession in Star Wars, that sort of high drama.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed everything about it, actually. I've been recommending it to people. Good. So, yes, I devoured that nice and quicko. And I'm looking for, well, I say I'm looking for something to fill its gap. I'm actually looking for time to catch up on watching The Last of Us is actually what I'm I was
going to say, that is the thing. Go straight into a Pedro classic. Oh, Pascal, he's so good at it. That's been my absolute thing of this year. was going to talk about it anyway, but The Last of Us is just so perfect. It actually upsets me. And I know you only watched one episode, and at the time of recording, we only have 3 episodes. But episode 3 emotionally destroyed me.
Oh my word!
Like, it's been a while since I've had a salty face from watching something.
Wow,
yeah, it's really got under my skin.
Yeah, as you say, I've only seen the first episode, and as a fan, and I've played through the first video game, so I'm quite familiar with it and a big fan of it, and did very much enjoy episode 1 as a kind of, let's set all of this up for all the nerds who played the video game, but also just everyone watching HBO. I think they did a great job with that.
Have you seen any films?
Yes, I have seen some films. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. I haven't watched loads of movies due to my international spy universe jet setting, as mentioned before, but I did mention one that I think I feel like I want to mention it on the pod, and I think I'm going to make a YouTube video about it. It's a movie from a few years ago called BECKMAN that I discovered through Letterboxd, which a little bird told me, Matthew, that you may have finally joined Letterboxd.
I do, but I'm just literally.
He's not announcing it publicly.
I'm using it as just to remember what I've watched.
It's great. Come the end of the year, will be very useful. So this movie basically is, I would sum it up as a Christian John Wick. There's so much about it that I could get into. It's only available on a streaming platform called PureFlix, which sounds like it could be porn, but it's actually it's like Netflix, but it's entirely Christian movies. It's absolutely incredible. I can't wait to dig more into it. Anyway, the guy who started the company also stars in the movie. The summation of it is, it's better than it has any right to be. There's a lot of like God, and there's a lot of moralizing in it, but also it has got some quite good action in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm certainly not recommending anyone watch it, but it's just such a curiosity that I had to give it a look. And time permitting, I'm going to get into it in a bit more depth in a YouTube video, because I don't know what I feel like. People outside of the US have probably never heard of PureFlix, and just the idea that a purely Christian movie Netflix exists alone is extraordinary. Of course it does. Of course it exists.
It does feel like a South Park creation.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think that's the only movie that I've watched that I remember from the Christmas period, but there are undoubtedly others. Did you see anything that we need to hear about?
I've been watching a lot, actually. I've had some time, so I've been watching all sorts. I've been watching a lot of 70s films because I just finished Tarantino's book. So I'm having heard his opinions on it. I'm going back to a lot of old stuff that I've either seen a long time ago and missed. I rewatched Chinatown, for example, which, you know what, doesn't do much for me.
Really?
Yeah, I love it, but it's fine. It doesn't really do me.
That was a movie I watched during my university time as part of a film studies course, and remember having to watch quite a lot of things that were a bit tough to get through, you know, like Battleship Potemkin or really old things. And Chinatown was like, oh, this is, you know, enjoyable and quite modern given everything.
Yeah, I love a neo-noir, but I don't know why. I think it always, it comes with such a weight of everyone saying how amazing it is.
Sure.
And I always get there and go, it's good. It is good.
It's fine. Thank
It's
you.
amazing. Like, the filmmaking in it is incredible. And the you know, I love that the story isn't spoon-fed. Do you know what? The more I think about it, it's great, actually. It's a great film. It's a great film.
I think this podcast is so great for retrospectively enjoying things more than you thought. I feel like we're gonna revisit this later.
Yeah. So the other two, I guess, of note for this podcast is I watched Gunpowder Milkshake finally.
Oh yeah.
Which do you know what?
Never seen it.
It's it just went on Netflix, so I thought, yeah, screw it, I'll give it a look, and yeah, I enjoyed it. It's very much comes out of that. John Wick has definitely done something to the action genre in the same way the Bourne series did.
Yeah,
where I think it is so of a style that not necessarily was new, is definitely made like the whole slick action genre become that. I think Gunpowder Milkshake falls into that category. But yeah, it's got some really, really good bits in it. Really good bits. And the way it's shot is absolutely beautiful. I just didn't engage fully with the story, but at the same time, there's nothing in that film that is bad. It is good too.
I remember when it came out thinking, and it kind of looked like a cross between a Zack Snyder movie and the Harley Quinn movie. And then the reviews weren't so great. And I was like, I think I'll skip it. It feels like it would annoy me.
I think like there's something there. And I don't think it fully hits what it needed. I think the film and the way it's put together is beautiful. I think maybe the characters and the story didn't push it up another star. But it's definitely like an absolute, I've got a couple of hours. I'm going to sit down and watch something I've not seen. It's worth it. It's worth just putting on for that.
Okay.
So yeah. And then my absolute discovery this year, a film that I think I'm going to probably watch once or twice a year forever now.
Wow.
I found a film on Shudder called Psycho Goreman.
I have seen that.
Have you seen
Psycho
Goreman?
That. Yes.
I love it.
That is so up your alley.
I can't describe how much I love this film. It is so funny. It's one of the funniest films I've ever seen. For anyone who hasn't seen it, it is basically, the way I describe it would be something like if Power Rangers was for adults with a sort of 80s, 90s Wishmaster vibe. That sort of straight to VHS video. But everything about this, like the people who put it together, the director, he did a film called The Void, if I remember right. And I love The Void. A lot of people don't like it, but I really like the sort of thing. But this, it very much feels like he's got all his passions from his childhood and hooked them up to a battery. And it's just start to finish, I was beaming, just an absolute smile on my face.
It 100% does exactly what it says on the tin. Like
it's incredible.
You watch the trailer and you're like, I think I know the sort of vibe we're going for here. And then it exactly delivers that. Plus, it's actually got one really good fight scene in it that was choreographed by like some quite well-known people. If you grew up in the 80s, you will love it. Is the answer.
It's Power Rangers with blood. But like the script and the performances, the main kid in it, she is so good in that role. It just blew me away. So like the film is funny on its own, but the script and the performances just elevate it to another level. And like, I generally would say it is worth a Shudder free subscription, if nothing else. Like if you're not a Shudder subscriber, just do a month's trial just to watch that and a few other things. Because it's up there now in my
What a random discovery. I can't believe we didn't discuss that whenever I watched it, because I feel like this is textbook heightened, that movie.
Yeah, it's great. But I'd say that is my wrap-ups.
All right, Matt, enough looking back. How about we look forward in the form of some trailers?
Yeah, all right.
Welcome to the party, pal!
All right, let's do it. We got a few here, and it's the beginning of a new season. I want to remind everyone what we're about. So we've got foreign stuff. We've got straight to video, arguably Drek. We've got big budget things, and we've got Jackie Chan. Let's hit them up. First of all, a movie called Head Rush, which is from Vietnam, and it's... The reason this has popped up is because the trailer popped up recently, because it supposedly had a digital release, but I think that might have been US only at the end of 2022. Turns out this movie is actually from 2017.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you did the link of looking forward, were you meant looking back 6 years? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, but it's the first time I guess you could see it in legit. I don't know if you can watch it in Europe, actually. I didn't have a lot of time. I was Googling before this. I couldn't find a streaming link for it streaming on any services in Europe. So I will dig a bit more. At the beginning of the trailer, there is a man who has a terminal injury, and then a scientist says, I'm going to reconnect the arteries from this body to this body, then I'm going to remove the head and attach it to this body. And I was like, I'm 100% in. Let's go.
That's what I got me. I was like, fair enough. I love a haunted body story.
Yes, it's exactly that, isn't it? It's a guy whose head goes on another body, but the body has other ideas.
Superhero body or something.
Yeah,
It looks mad. I love it. It looks like the sort of film you'd get around the sort of after Universal Soldier came out.
Yes,
it's very much that sort of vibe. But again, it looks like it's got some good stuff in it. I would definitely watch it. If I see it on something, I would absolutely go, yeah, I'm putting it on.
I'm making it my brand new head attached to a New Year's body mission to track this down so we can watch it. It's got guys running across rooftops. It's got a lot of fighting and exploding. I'm on board. That's all I've got to say about Head Rush. And if you have seen it or you know where it's streaming, I will check the old VPNs to see if it's streaming in the US. And then let's have a look at it. Next up, the post-Christmas period, I would say, is possibly a bit of a dry patch for trailers and stuff. I don't know. It feels like it's sort of a dumping ground often for movies, isn't it? It's tough.
You get through the first few weeks, then you hit Oscar season. So like this week,
of course,
specifically that end of January, beginning of February is when you'll start seeing all the late Oscar tips going into the cinema. Like here in the UK today, The Whale came out finally, which is everyone's been talking about for so long. And Knock at the Cabin's out, not an Oscar film, but you're getting all that sort of push for early season. But yeah,
things that want to get a little look in. Speaking of which, RRR nominated for an Oscar for Natu Natu. I'm definitely going to play in a sound from RRR now.
Not salsa, not flamenco, my brother.
Do you know Natu?
What is Natu?
Still so excited about
the
journey
great.
of RRR and Everything Everywhere All at Once, smashing it at the Golden Globes. Our top 2 movies of last year, so you heard it here first.
No one else is. We're really on to that.
No one else latched on.
Come on, give me your next trailer.
Okay, sometimes this podcast is about big budget cinema smashes, and sometimes it is about things that go straight to video streaming. And occasionally, I just like to put one of these trailers in for a movie there is absolutely no chance we'll watch to remind us that these movies are being cranked out. This one is called The Weapon. Matt, do you have any recollection of what happens in this trailer?
Yeah, I can. What I took away from this trailer is this trailer feels like if SNL did an action film. It felt like a parody of itself. Like, and it's crazy because this is a Lionsgate film.
Yeah,
and there's some stars attached to it. Like Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it, isn't he?
The Oscar winner Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah, and he's so like they've got some heat, but the way they put that trailer together felt like it was a spoof, and the way that some of the characters look and spoke, I was like, is this surreal? But yeah, it's a
lots of people worked very hard on it, but I can say with my hand on my heart, I will not be watching this one.
It's the sort of film I imagine your mum's new boyfriend would ruin your Netflix algorithm over.
Okay, we need to have a quick conversation about my mum, but other than that, yes, absolutely on the money. Let's move on. Now, Guy Ritchie has had quite a interesting last few years, I would say. He's had that Operation Fortune movie that was meant to come out last year, and I think it sort of trickled out at the end of last year with no fanfare, which doesn't speak volumes for it. Then before that, Wrath of Man, was Guy Ritchie and The Staith. I thought that was okay, actually. Then you had The Gentleman, which I felt like a parody of a Guy Ritchie movie.
But yeah, it did feel like someone else tried to do a Guy Ritchie film. But I actually quite enjoyed it. I just think the characters felt like they don't exist today.
In real life, yeah. It felt like no one talks like this, Guy Ritchie. You're a man in your 40s or 50s, and you're just making up slang.
Yeah, if you'd said that sort of the era of like Lock, Stock and Snatch, I think like if he'd gone like 2001 or whatever, I think it would have felt more bedded. But yeah, it just felt off. But I enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
We were both 20 years younger, we would have just eaten it up like we did Lock, Stock and Snatch.
So there's some great characters in it. I did think it had some.
I mean, Hugh Grant's having a whale of a time. Clearly, he's just like, okay, I've discovered something new here in my acting career, and I'm ready to ride this horse into the sunset. Let's do it.
He's great. He is great.
So anyway, Guy Ritchie has got another movie coming out. Who knows when this was made? Called The Covenant, which looks like a serious Guy Ritchie movie. It does look good. I will say, my thought is just like, can Guy Ritchie do serious stuff, no tongue in cheek, and quite a sort of delicate subject of like a soldier and a translator and Middle East politics, that kind of thing.
It's going to be interesting because Guy Ritchie has, he coined a certain style which came up in that sort of 2000s directors thing, sort of post-Tarantino, pre-Edgar Wright. Something about what Guy Ritchie was doing was completely unique. And I think that's translated into most of his films. I think it would be the worst style for this type of film.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting to see him almost remove himself, certainly from the trailer, remove his style to make sure the story is serviced. And I think it could be a brilliant one for him. When it started, the trailer, I was like, oh, this story feels like it's 20 years too late. Then when the trailer developed and showed you like what the twists and stuff was, I thought, oh, actually could be a really interesting human story. Yeah. So it's really pricked my ears up. I am really
maybe it is that as well. Maybe it is him kind of trying to not reinvent but offer another string to his bow. Like no one in this is speaking in any weird made up slang. Don't worry about it. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious. I am curious, and he is when he's good. He's such a good filmmaker.
It's true. Yeah. And I do think it does like action packed as much as a war movie can. I don't know if it's like, oh, I'm excited about this quite serious action, but he can shoot action in a enjoyable and visceral way. Even in like the Sherlock Holmes movies, there's some really interesting, like technically interesting stuff in those. Definitely give in and watch regardless. Yeah. We're going to end on one that I think is going to split the crowd.
It is the best trailer.
It's so hard to approach new Jackie Chan movies, but he's got one coming out this year called Ride On. Ride On? Ride On.
Yeah.
In which he plays a stunt man / horse trainer. This is as far as I can glean from this teaser and the trailer. And if I remember rightly from a previous teaser trailer, a younger man is attempting to woo his daughter. I'm not sure how any of this ties into it being a sort of Jackie Chan action comedy also, but we get to see a bit more action in this. And there's a few little Chan flourishes, plus a few bits of action involving a horse, which if John Wick 3 taught us anything, is something to be excited about.
I think this looks like a Jackie Chan passion project because it's got two things he absolutely loves. And one of them is horses. The two things of Jackie Chan, like when you look at him from his sort of a biographical, like where he came from, he was a stuntman. So he's got a real passion for the stunt industry and what stunt people do.
True.
But also he's got a real like love for sort of Buster Keaton style comedy, that sort of physical slapstick. I think this is probably going to marry up to his big passions. And I think if nothing else, that's probably what got him on this project. It's basically about a stuntman, who also it's going to have some real, you can already see like some real comic beats from a sort of older era.
Hijinks.
But the trailer's great. Yeah. Like the way it's shot, I hope that styles throughout the film. I hope they haven't like cut that for the beats of a trailer.
I really hope it's good. I really do. It's time for a good Jackie Chan movie.
It really made me smile all the way through.
He's getting on a bit now, and we're still like, come on, Jackie Chan, I want you to be flipping about and kicking everyone's ass. Like, we're unforgiving as an audience. I'm speaking about myself mainly, but
yeah, I think it's great. I think this is gonna be a surprise one. I think it's gonna like come out and it's gonna have a lot of charm and a lot of heart, and it's gonna be great.
I am crossing everything. I would be delighted for another super fun action comedy with JC.
Jesus Christ,
John Cleese.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Christian streamer again.
I'm back to Pure Flicks.
Yeah.
Matthew.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I am.
I'm finally going to say this, and it's actually going to be true. Are you ready to walk into the cinema, sit down next to each other, and watch a movie on the big screen for the first time in over a year since we've been doing this podcast?
I am ready, Simon.
Well, guess what, Matthew?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. I suspect maybe you do. I checked in with us while we were in the cinema at a few little points during the movie. So please join Matthew and I as we head into our feature presentation.
And now, our feature presentation.
Dodge this.
Okay, it's very exciting. I should have done this earlier. I'm in the actual cinema with actual Matthew Hyton. Here he is.
Hello.
Actual Matthew Hyton.
I confirm it is
We
me.
are about to watch PATHAAN in the cinema. And that's really it. Just wanted to sort of prove that we're both in the same room for the first time ever watching a movie.
Yeah, the ambient noise will be lovely on this, so you can get a real atmosphere of the cinema right now.
Yeah, should have done this in the quiet bit before we came into the actual cinema. Anyway, we'll report back after the movie. Are you excited, Matt? I'm very excited. Very excited. Yes.
What I love about that is you did get a sense of the ambience, but I also look forward to where you have to buy the rights to the song that was on the trailer at the beginning.
It's an absolute copyright nightmare. And as I said during that recording, should have done it in the quiet bit before we went in. But I was so excited that we were in the cinema together, and we'll pop back in and revisit throughout the movie. That was us sitting down to watch PATHAAN at the View Cinema, Finchley Road, Northwest London. Matthew, where do we start with PATHAAN? Oh, well, boy.
This is a marathon. This film is so long, so unnecessarily long. So two things just start off the bat of this. This is a fine film. It's a really fun film, but it is riddled with things I hate. And also, I think what didn't help is the audience for that film was so terrible. Like, so terrible.
Someone had brought their very young children, hadn't they? And they were sat behind us. I tried my best to ignore
iPad
it.
at times.
Yeah. What was this is not about the film, but just about our cinema going experience, is I go to the cinema on my own a lot. So when things like that happen, I am the one throwing those glances behind. But what was delightful was that every time, and there was something that would normally really annoy me, you acted out exactly how I felt in those moments. Like, I saw you just looking around like, and being like, and I was like, oh, good, it's not just me.
I generally think, I don't believe in capital punishment, but for talking in the cinema, I don't. It's so expensive these days as well.
Yeah. And I think maybe that speaks to why this movie was so loud, because it has to drown out just the families that have gone to see it. And we should start at the beginning. This is an Indian, Hindi mass entertainer, a masala movie, if you will. It's a close to 3-hour running time. It's actually 2:40, but I think we both agree it feels longer. And it marks the return of Indian megastar Shah Rukh Khan, who hasn't made a movie in 4 or 5 years and has had quite a run of it publicly, it seems, in the meantime. Don't want to delve into any of the politics of that sort of thing, but he's back, and he's 57 years old, and he is back with a bang in this movie. He's a spy, and he's kicking everyone's ass.
This, to pick up from me saying that it was one of the worst audience ever, it was also simultaneously one of the best audiences I've ever seen a film with. They, like you say, it's a massive, huge Indian action film, and obviously that brought in a lot of British Asians, and they have obviously grown up with this guy, which is, we're going to get to this. One of the most mind-blowing facts about this is Khan is, what did we say, 57 years old? He says in the film he's been doing this for 30 years. So obviously for like me and Simon, who are quite new to sort of, all these massive sort of Asian and Bollywood and Indian action films, the people in that cinema, it was beautiful. There were, like Simon says, massive families who obviously come in to see this because they've had this for 30 years. It's sort of the culmination of something we've completely missed.
Well, he's not done a lot of action before, though. He's not known for action, so him turning into this sort of absolutely shredded hero is it's a commitment to a role, isn't it? You've got to, whoever trains these guys up. I mean, I want that trainer because he's got a few years on us and he looks incredible.
Yeah. But I mean, this was the other side of it, like annoying audience members aside. When the film got going and everyone got into the film, it is nice to be in an audience where you can audibly feel like people's reactions. And this film is ridiculous.
Insane in every way.
Well, there's no other way to describe it. But like people know that. They know it's ridiculous. And like, so when something happens, the whole audience feels it. And it's like laughter or oohs and ahs and just like really looking over it. And even like the actors in the script play to sort of a little wink at camera and stuff like that. And that is genuine joy.
There were some lovely moments where something would happen and you would just like look over at me and I would look over at you and we'd both be like, I know.
This is great.
It is what it is.
For that, this film is great. I mean, and it is just like, there's nothing would ever get off the table for this film. Like if someone said, oh, and at one point they get miniaturized and put into someone's body,
you'd be like, yeah,
that wouldn't be like an out of the question thing. Yeah, like there's nothing you can do in this film.
To clarify, that doesn't happen in the movie.
That doesn't happen.
No.
But that is the level of things you could probably get away with, and they'd still try and make this a grounded action film.
That is true.
But I think like for everything that is joyful about this, it's like they wrote the script. And then they added bits on to make the script longer. Like the amount of exposition in this film.
Well, I guess the movie has to be long enough for them to have an interval, right? So the nature of these mass entertainers are such that it needs to follow the sort of roller coaster diagram of, interval. Something has to happen before the interval. Usually like huge action scene like in RRR, or in the case of this, a big twist / reveal where you're like, oh, I can't believe that happened.
I can't believe the one thing I was sure was going to happen.
Delivered at the exact time I hoped it would. So yeah, almost the whole of the first half of the movie is a flashback. It's, if you've seen War, which we talked about back last year when we were first discovering Indian mass entertainer action cinema, it's by the same director and it shares a lot of those beats of
we call those blockbusters, Simon.
Okay,
I love how you're trying to scrabble for the term.
Well, these take place in the spy universe, which means that some characters overlap a little bit, and I can't tell how much of the spy universe was planned in advance or retrofitted and then cameos crowbarred in at this late stage, but it shares a lot with War. Personally, I think I preferred War. It sort of made more sense, or the action was ludicrous, but not as ludicrous. I don't know what it was, but I did enjoy this. But I think quite early on in the movie, I went, okay, this is the level we're at with this. SRK's entrance scene was chef's kiss. It was absolutely classic Indian actioner. The reveal, the slow-mo, the theme, he kicks everyone's ass. Yeah, the abs. Oh my goodness, so much wind in his long hair. And then he slides down the blade of a helicopter and then pilots that helicopter out of a cave through like a vent or something. And I was like, okay, this is where we are. Prior to that, I was like, okay. And then it was like, oh no, all bets are off, mate. All bets are off. And then it just continued to be like, more bets are off. If you didn't think it could get any more ridiculous, do you know what you're dealing with? It just keeps getting more ridiculous.
This is the thing that I struggle to sort of put the two together, because those massive, ridiculous, and again, you can't stress how ridiculous sometimes those set pieces are. When they had some sort of close-in, sort of one-on-one actual action, sort of classic guy fights guy, some of the choreography was incredible. Yeah. It was absolutely incredible. And the blows felt like they landed so many times.
Yeah. They're loud, crunching.
But like, when they allowed themselves to just do like, we're going to have a fight scene here, they're incredible. But it was almost like you're sort of in PS2, PS3 era, sort of suddenly you've got to have this weird cutscene that takes you to somewhere else or something. Yeah. And I think that's what not ruined it for me, because there's no way I would classify this as a bad film. I really enjoyed this film. I'll go in it now. It's a 3-star film for me.
Yeah,
I
gave it
definitely
3.
no regrets watching it, but it didn't do anything for me. And I think the reason was there was so much good stuff in there, just swamped with unnecessary dialogue and exposition and sequences that didn't need to be in there. It actually made me go, oh, you've got so much good stuff. Like every performance in this, I loved. Like so, like sometimes really funny, sometimes really menacing, sometimes really heartfelt. But it's just jumbled.
So you've got Shah Rukh Khan. He's the star of this movie. He's the marquee name. Then you've also got Deepika Padukone, hope I've pronounced that right, as another agent / a sort of Beyonce figure who has innumerable costume changes, an R&B music video, and just basically smolders throughout. Then you've got John Abram, who is another Indian star, as the bad guy, who has one of the best bad guy names in action movie history. Jim. He's just called Jim. That's it.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of quipping in this movie, but no one quips about how Jim is just a really rubbish name for a bad guy. It's just someone's dad's name. Jim.
But again, like I was thinking about this because I thought that, but then I thought about it from like when we've watched other films from India and stuff, especially RRR. You got to remember that is a very colloquial British name. And we know already that, like, you know, the Empire and stuff is obviously they're Nazis, as we've said before. So to have a name like that on a baddie might actually make it more sinister for the audience that it was made for. I don't know, but that's the only way I could justify that.
I mean, his real name is John Abraham, which is not exactly a traditional Indian name. So
is that could be a stage name though. So yeah. I didn't know. That was the only way I could justify that name as a baddie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is one of the best jokes that's ever been put.
There's a lot we don't know about Indian names. But I think in terms of the name of a baddie, Jim is real. It's a real big hitter. He's the baddie. He's an ex-agent that's switched sides. And he wants to destroy India because India didn't negotiate with terrorists. And terrorists killed his wife and unborn child. And now he's mad. And now he's going to make them pay figuratively and literally by sort of now making them negotiate with him, right? I feel like I made the plot sound actually quite good there, where when you watch it, it feels quite convoluted.
This was again, so this is where I think this film became the biggest disservice in this film was to the character of Jim, because they did give him a setup for a really, really like driven backstory, something that really drives his hatred, and a real good reason for him to want to get revenge on the country that, you know, abandoned him and ultimately cost him everything. But they used it in a flashback, and then it never became a part of his character again, really. Like every now and then it was thrown to, but everything about his behavior, everything about his motivations and the way he conducts himself, it was just like a TikTok star who was really hard.
There are a few bits where he does a video call and he's just like really suave on it, isn't he?
Yeah. He's such a good looking man.
He is a good looking man, yeah. He does play that. He does lean into that, the role of very smug baddie quite well, I think.
Yeah.
He doesn't sort of get the slight winks that SRK gets. He gets to play super hard, but also, and you know, this movie shifts tonally quite aggressively at times, but he gets to play like a little sort of like, oh, self-effacing and oh my goodness, oh, we're having a bit of banter in a gunfight sometimes, whereas John Abraham just kind of is that sort of like, I'm a little bit cheeky on the video call before I kill everyone, arch baddie.
Again, like I just wish they had come back and had all that emotion bubble back to the surface, especially in the end sort of conflict. But yeah, they didn't.
Yeah. It's a movie that starts in the present. It then goes back to fill in everyone's backstory. And
I thought it started in the past. I thought it was 3 years earlier. Then it went. Then it went to the present. Then it went back 2 years.
Okay, quite possible. I thought it started with SRK's introduction, but maybe there's actually a bit before that I forgot that happened.
No, because it starts with the villain, the general.
Right. Oh, that's right.
This isn't a spoiler because this is how it starts. The who you think is going to be the villain of the film.
Yeah.
Basically, a country goes back on a treaty, which means it opens up the possibility of this general to essentially start a war.
He's very mad, basically. It is a real, I've forgotten how you describe it. It's like some sort of bit of law that means Kashmir is independent or something. I think I'm probably getting it slightly wrong, but they say they've like cancelled that. And so I think he's from Pakistan. The general is mad. Yeah.
Gives him license to openly essentially be a terrorist.
Right.
But again, talking about character disservice. They set him up as a really great idea. So he comes in as they instantly, scene one, they establish that he's terminally ill.
Right.
And that he's only got 3 years left. And his whole thing is that's enough time to cause chaos.
Yeah.
So that's like a really beautiful in terms of plot wise. You've got a time limit. You know he's going to go to the present day. And you know this guy is basically fighting his own clock to do terrible things.
And he says he's going to make a deal with the devil, or what does he say? Something about the devil.
Yeah.
Describing. And then it's like, who is this devil? Jim. It's Jim.
It's Jim.
Don't worry, it's Jim. Yeah. And then it goes forwards in time to SRK. And then it goes backwards in time to SRK's backstory. Then
it's incredible.
And this is before you even get to the interval. Speaking of which, Matthew, do you remember when we were in the cinema together and there was an interval?
I do remember.
We've reached the interval, and there's a real interval. I saw RRR twice with no interval. My bladder was primed for 3 hours with no breaks, but there's an actual interval. So I've had a little toilet break, even though I didn't really need one, Matt. What a treat.
You know what? You just got to take them where you can get them. Especially, this could be the one of many intervals. We don't know.
It's true.
I feel like we've hit the interval and nothing that needs to happen has happened
so
yet.
far, everything has been a flashback as far as I can tell. Okay, back to Matt and Simon in the studio.
PATHAAN को एक high security prison में.
Oh, yeah, we timed that really well.
I think that really sums up about how confused we were at that point in the movie. So now, a week later, us trying to remember, even at the time, we were having trouble piecing it together.
By now, we've established this is a fun film, but it's very confusing. So let's focus on the positives, Simon.
Thank you.
What did you like about this film?
Well, like you touched on earlier, I think there's some very nice fight sequences in this movie. And also, like you touched on earlier, most of those fight sequences start in a relatively grounded way. And almost without fail, they all escalate to insanity by the end of it. So I think like my enjoyment curve of each action sequence was at the beginning, I was like, oh, this is quite a cool idea. Or like, oh, this is fun. And then as it ratcheted up, it would just get more ridiculous. It's like the difference between Fast 5 and Fast 7 or 8. 5 was like, we're kind of respecting like logic and physics and stuff. And then by, whichever one they drive out of the Burj Khalifa window into another window.
That's Furious 7.
Right.
So I know that because I've looked at that scene so much last week.
Oh, because you put Mr. Blobby in it, of course you did. So I think that's a reasonable way to describe that. And of course, I mean, this movie also takes place in Dubai at one point. Of course it does, because if you want to make a big flashy action movie, you have to go to Dubai, and I'm sure Dubai are happy for everyone to film their big flashy action movies.
And they definitely went to Russia as well.
They 100% were in Russia, not on a series of sound stages.
I mean, I'll never, because they did do a thank you to Spain at the end, and this is one of my favorite things that happened in the film. There's genuinely, they've obviously been cleared to film in Spain, and so they've scripted into the whole film a bit where Pathaan's superior basically says, most secret agents are going on a mission, it'd be Iraq or Iran, but for you, Spain.
Woo!
And they get to...
And as soon as you get there, maybe try and track down this R&B singer / Pakistani intelligence agent and have a series of costume changes during this music video.
This is what I love, though. This is what I love about Bollywood and Indian cinema is it has developed on such a different keel to Western cinema that obviously all this stuff is so traditional and so ingrained into the language of film that I love how completely like just open they are about going, now we're just going to have a nice essentially a music video that adds or takes away nothing from plot. And actually when we started on these, they used to really annoy me. So what's the point in this? But now I'm growing to love them.
Yeah, they're quite nice, isn't it?
Really joyful, yeah.
I think that's really it. Cool. It's once you understand the language of this. And I think this is the only time we're going to bring it up in the whole podcast. When I was recently in India, in Mumbai, home of Bollywood, after I'd been there a while, I have traveled in Europe and America quite extensively, but I haven't been to Asia. So there was a lot of culture shock in innumerable ways. But after a while, and this probably applies to traveling anywhere where you have culture shock, you have to stop sort of trying to see things through the prism of how you learned everything is and how you learned everything works, and just kind of go, that doesn't really apply here. So if I keep looking at stuff like that, I'm going to be frustrated, annoyed, disappointed, or scared or whatever. And you just have to go, well, things work differently here. Let's work them out on that scale. And I think you can exactly apply that to movies like this that come out of Indian cinema, where you're like, yeah, if you compare this to all the Western movies that you've watched, you're like, I don't understand why these things happen, why there's singing and dancing, or why people worship the stars of these movies. But it's like, well, it's just the whole approach is different, and there's a rich history of it.
Yeah, because there's no fan worship in the West at all.
But I mean, not to the same extent as this. Yes, people go and see a Tom Cruise movie, but the sort of, it's fan, but it's fanaticism. You just need to read the comments on the trailers of these movies. It's just a different level of excitement, And I think once you go in with that thinking, this is a different movie going experience, then you can kind of, and this is speaking personally, you got to just kind of let go of those expectations and be like,
100%.
Let's go on this roller coaster. I don't know what to expect, and I'm ready for anything. It doesn't mean it's a 5-star movie. Like you say, I think this is a 3-star movie. I preferred War and I absolutely adored RRR. But, it's nice to have that rich tapestry. And the more movies we watch from this part of the world, admittedly, this is a very narrow seam. We're not watching auteur-y indie movies, which I'm sure there's loads of in India. We're just watching these mass entertainer spectacles.
This again is the thing that I love. I really love this about international cinema is every region has its own style to a degree, but a lot of that is getting stamped out due to just the success of Hollywood. Hollywood has honed filmmaking to such a degree, especially blockbusters. If you think about it, in terms of actual filmmaking, cinema didn't really get its boom till the post-war, and the studio system also obviously went through its golden age and then its decline and stuff, and all the B movies became genre films of the 60s, 50s and 60s, all the sort of boom of the B movie essentially. But it's not really till the 70s that, the blockbuster really finds its stride. Jaws is often cited as the first blockbuster. And even then, it's not an action film. It's just a blockbuster. And I think...
I'm glad you said it's not an action film. Finally, we're on the same page.
But, films like this come from a blockbuster action film. They don't come from a gritty gangster film, which is today a lot of action films come from in tradition of cinema. But in terms of this, what is lovely is Bollywood is probably the biggest market for cinema in the entire world. There's probably not a bigger market. Like Hollywood is huge, but it exports to the rest of the world. That's why it's so big, and it's kind of seen as the home of cinema. But with Bollywood, it's just always been this titan of its own industry.
Yeah, internally.
Yeah, we've had stuff come over throughout sort of all the indie booms that have been and gone, like especially in the 90s, and the VHS boom brought a lot of, international cinema over. But it's only now we're starting to see more and more, because of streamers and stuff like that, they're becoming bigger and more household, I'd say, where I think we're on the beginning of that boom. And I'm hoping that affects the language of cinema as well. I hope that it just maintains that sort of, that these mad films will always exist. And
I think they have to, right? Because I think there's still the audience for these films is, 90% local, but with the advent of streaming, suddenly more people get to see them. And you hope, as you say, that it doesn't sort of homogenize filmmaking such that movies from everywhere are all kind of the same thing.
We are getting a bit of that. Like some of the blockbusters we've watched from like other countries out of the West, they do feel more, in terms of style, Americanized. And I think like that is just something that's naturally happening with anything. Like, if a film wants to do well, it's got to have its own sort of identity, but to compete on a mass scale.
And there's no denying the influence of Hollywood blockbusters on movies like War and Pathaan. I mean, there's, just ideas and scenes ripped wholesale from Mission Impossible movies, from Fast and Furious movies. It's a kind of like a director's grab bag of like, I love that bit in Mission Impossible 2. I mean, he clearly loves Mission Impossible 2. There's bits in War and this that are like shot for shot from Mission Impossible. I love Mission Impossible 2. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge John Woo fan. So there's no denying that.
Even his hair is kind of Tom Cruise Mission Impossible 2.
Oh my God, it is! He's got the Tom Cruise MI2 hair. Yeah. The difference is, this movie was made for $28 million and is 2 hours, 40 minutes long and features almost non-stop action scenes. Whereas I don't know what the budget for a Mission Impossible 2 was, but even 20 years ago, I suspect it was more than $28 million.
Yeah. Well, the new one, did we say it's going to be the most expensive action film ever created?
Is it?
It's got the most expensive stunt that has ever existed, which was what we watched on the last episode, I think, if you want to go back and listen about that.
Tom Cruise flies off a cliff on a bike. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is the thing, like, I think now that we see more of these, I think because this is such a genre, like the Bollywood blockbuster is such a thing of its own genre, but now we're watching more and more and stop being wowed by the madness of it. So now I've seen RRR, which does all those insane things. They do things where your jaw is on the floor, but they do it so well. I think everything is now held up against that for me personally, as someone who's new to this sort of entire genre.
Yeah.
And I am trying to watch more and more, and I am trying to sort of widen my palette of this. And again, this is what I love. I'm stop going, oh man, did you see what the guy did with that helicopter? And they're going, well, you could have done a little more character development there.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair.
But again, like, they're so enjoyable. Like, I don't want to put anyone off watching this film because,
and
like,
absolutely see it on the biggest screen possible. Like, I do think
with the loudest speakers.
You're going to lose a star to half a star if you wait till this is on Amazon Prime in April. If you're in the right mood, just go see it in the cinema.
Yeah.
It's got an interval. You can even get more snacks, go for a wee.
Yeah. I think it's a nice summation. I'm going to say then, Simon, I don't think there's much more we can cover on the actual film.
If we've come to our natural conclusion on this movie, which I feel like there's so much we haven't talked about in this, but we've given it a very kind of overarching vibe.
Yeah.
But I want to remember exactly how we felt at the end of the movie. If only there was a way we could do that.
Matt, we're exiting the cinema. One of the loudest films I've seen in a really long time. It's very loud. Very loud. The levels is so loud. Oh my God, imagine sitting here.
We've exited.
exited. We've exited the cinema. We're in the corridor, and I just need a few words from Matthew as we exit the 3.5-hour marathon that was Pathaan.
I think we went in there and it was January and it's now February.
We're gonna have to let this sink in, and all we can do is throw to Simon and Matt in the studio for hopefully some kind of
insight.
Good luck.
I don't know if we've offered that much insight this time, but we've definitely offered enthusiasm and perspective, I would hope.
I do think we have. I'm hoping I don't. Like, this is probably the film that I've been down on more than anything. I don't want to put people off because
true story, actually, Matt. Yeah, I feel like we've almost reversed roles. Season 2. What a twist!
It's just the length. It's just it really.
That's fair. That is fair.
It really just had so much stuff that because it's so long. If it was so long, but I came out of it going, yeah, but you couldn't lose any of it. Like I'd be all right, but because it's so much,
you were like,
didn't need to be.
I
in
think
there.
you could shave a solid 40 minutes from that film.
You could get an hour and a half.
The budget would go so much further. I'd love to know the logistics and the sort of politics of, well, it has to be this long because it has to have an interval so they can shift more snacks in the cinema. Yeah. But what about the discussion of, but if it was half an hour shorter, we could spend a bit more money on making some of the CGI look a bit better, or like this could make a bit more sense. Or
was the CGI in this?
Oh, did you not notice there was that one bit of CGI that one time when they were standing on that thing and then it turned into a video game for 5 minutes?
Oh man.
Okay, I'm ready for it, Matthew. Say the words.
Come. Action replay Simon. I was trying to treat you like Alexa there.
You're activating me like Alexa.
Simon, play action replay.
We haven't mentioned it so far. I wrote down 2 things, so I'm just going to say 2 words, and you might think they're a spoiler, but there's just no way. There's just no way. Even if I told you this happened, when you see it, I talked earlier about moments when Matt and I looked at each other in the cinema, and this was, I would say, my favourite one. You know what I'm going to say, Matthew. It's 2 words. Can you guess what the 2 words are?
I want to say flying men.
Oh, okay. Those are not the 2 words. My
really?
2 words. Well, now I want to see your face when I say the 2 words. Ice skates.
I didn't know which one it was going to be.
There's a scene in this. It's actually not one of my favorite action scenes because it's so CGI and ridiculous. But there's a bit where there's just an escalation in this scene that in a million years I would never have anticipated. And it's just one of those sort of Bollywood moments where you just go.
But it felt like it came out of a Simpsons McBain movie.
It was absolutely so ridiculous. Insane. Absolutely insane. And you, by that point, you're just like, I mean, what can you complain about when straight-facedly this happens in the film? It's like, this is the movie it is. Just enjoy it. Anyway, yeah, that was extraordinary. It was either that or that for novelty, sort of ridiculous, enthusiastic laughter. But the SRK's intro, I thought, was actually really enjoyable. Yeah. And the beginning of the train scene, where there is a cameo from somebody else in the spy universe. Great action scene that starts off great and escalates into a cut scene or a playable scene from one of the Uncharted video games.
Yeah, you could very easily edit that scene with triangle and circle appearing at times.
Press circle to shoot chain gun. What was yours, please, Matthew? And I'm sorry if I already covered it.
Now I'm going to have to cover it, but yeah, the for ridiculousness, just in the midst of an already insane set of finale sequences, they just take off in what can only be described as MCU style vulture wings. Have one of the most ridiculous chase ever. But in that chase, so the Pathaan chases Jim in essentially vulture suits. they had one of my favourite shots I've seen in a film all year, which is just a really funny shot of a cow, and then they both fly by it. And it was so beautiful. I think that shot is my action replay.
Oh man!
But also, Salman Khan's intro, his sort of cameo intro, and just the way those two played off each other.
That was really fun, actually. Yeah.
It conjured up very much feelings of how you would feel if it was Arnie and Sylvester Stallone at the end of sort of their 90s run. It very much had, even for someone who doesn't have the history of these films, I got that feeling from it, which was lovely.
Or like when a Marvel character does a really big thing from the comic books and all the audience go, yeah, he did the thing.
Yeah, I'm that person. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, those would probably stand out. And then again, just the actual final fight in a shit sort of a wooden shack on the side of a cliff. There's some really good bits in that I don't know if it warranted 2 hours 40 minutes to get there, but
if Jim really wanted that thing to explode, why did he just hold on to the timer and then go, well, you're going to have to fight me for it? Just explode it, mate.
Big spoiler, but yeah, that'll still make no sense when it happens.
No, none of it. A lot of it doesn't make sense, but a lot of it is great. And also, I'm annoyed at myself for not having done this to an irritating degree throughout the episode, because every time I mentioned Jim, I wanted to do this. He's got such a good theme tune, and it plays
incredible
every single time he comes in. At the beginning, you're like, this is very cool. And then by the fifth time, you're like, I mean, it's Jim's theme, and here's Jim again, and they're playing the theme, and you can't hate it. It's so hummable.
Great. It's great.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to stop playing it.
Yeah. No, it's great. It is great. Yeah, again, just because like I'm not normally down on films, and I feel like I sound like I am. I think I do say watch this film. It's especially like if you're like us and you're opening yourself up to this whole new sort of arc of cinema.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's not the gateway if you want to start watching these crazy mass entertainers. Personally, I think War is the better gateway. They're cut from the same cloth, and they're also part of the same universe, directed by the same guy. But I do think for me, War was the more enjoyable movie. Nonetheless. If you liked War, you're going to have a fun time with this.
If you like War,
you'll also like
violence.
If you like Tom Cruise in MI2 haircuts and R&B singers, you'll love Pathaan. Now, Matthew, before we wrap up, I've got one little surprise in the bag for you.
Have you?
Yes. Originally, I don't remember if you remember from when we were chatting about when this movie was coming out. I was going to go and see this movie here in Amsterdam with my good friend and friend of the show, Emil. But it turned out that most of the screenings had Dutch subtitles. So it worked out that while I was in London, you and I got to see it, which was an absolute dream come true. A dream come true for me. I think it was wonderful. However, Emil did go and see the movie, and him and I have chatted about it a lot. And he's a huge fan, and he's been on this journey of Indian action cinema roller coaster with us. And so I sent Emil a little message and I said, Emil, we're talking about Pathaan. Do you have anything you would love to add? Like, send me a little voice note and I'll pop it into the podcast, because I like to hear from you. I love to hear your thoughts. And he has absolutely delivered, Matthew. I think you're going to love this. This is what Emil sent me.
Hey, Emil here. I don't have a ton of time to talk. Stay down! I love Pathaan. Moments matter, physics do not. Emotions drive the movie, and logic got left back there at the gas station. And I don't think it's coming back. Just like humanity, if you try to understand it, it will break you. Embrace it, and you'll gain a friend. So long, friends. Jaid.
Emil Stroker-Boudier absolutely smashing his cameo appearance in the podcast.
Yeah, I can't just do a quick 2 minute on the phone now, can I?
You're going to really have to step it up in future. Emil is like the Salman Khan, the tiger of this podcast, with that, the way he just kicked in the doors, dropped an absolute bombshell, and then left us to sweep up the pieces. I think he absolutely nailed it too, to be fair.
Smashed it. He smashed it.
Listen, we've got to go. We've kept you long enough. Thank you, dear listener. Welcome to season 2. If you've enjoyed the podcast, we have a Twitter you can follow. It's Dodge This Pod. You can follow Matthew and I on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, etc. All linked below. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please tweet about it, share it with a friend. And here's a new feature that Buzzcast have added recently. If you're an absolute super fan, you can subscribe to this podcast with actual money. If you love it that much, if you've invented something and you just have too much money, you don't know what to do with it, and you're like, I bloody love that podcast, you can like give us like a coffee a month or a speedboat a month. Up to you. Anyway, that's linked to...
It's one or the other. Nothing in between.
I don't want 2 cups of coffee. I want a speedboat a month. I don't know where I'll put them. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it in my speedboat. We will see you.
You need to start fading out now, Simon.
2 weeks' time, hopefully, as we head into what is looking like a very exciting year of action. Matthew, thanks very much for joining us. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, Jim.
Bye.
We don't have the copyright clearance. We'll just fade it out here. Bye.
Bye.